cool. Hey, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. We got the Elder Yatazak here from GMS Dallas. I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas, and we're going to be continuing the book of First Samuel. We got just a couple more chapters to go. So we're going to actually do chapter 27 and 28 together because chapter 27 is a shorter one. But when we went into chapter 26, it talked about how Saul pretty much openly gave David, like, he openly apologized, I'll say, to David, and he openly said it in front of his army that David was going to basically rule after King Saul. Right? Saul basically admitted that after David spared his life the second time. You see. And so this is the following two chapters after that. And so I brought this out to be edifying. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen like we normally do and get right to it. Okay, cool. All right. This is and if, of course, Zaquan, if you got any precepts or anything, let me know. I'll pull it up. So this is 1 Samuel 27:1. It says, "And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines." And this is after, the second time of David seeing that Saul was willing to come out to the wilderness to seek for David's life, right? And David was like, look, man, I'm not going to trust what Saul's talking about. Even though, Saul said, I've done evil in the sight of the Lord and this and that. David was like, look, Saul, he gonna keep looking after me until he gonna keep coming after me until he kills me. That's pretty much was David's mindset at this point. And so he said, you know what, I'm gonna just go into the land of the Philistines because these local Israelites that I'm hiding amongst, they keep they keep giving my coordinates, And so it says in the middle of verse 1, and Saul shall despair of me to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hand. So he's like, you know what? I'd rather hide myself amongst the enemies than be found amongst Israel, because our own people basically were giving up David's location to Saul. You see, which shows that our people, majority of them, not spiritual. Because if they were, they would know that David was righteous and he was not worthy of being put to death. Okay. In this instance, so it says, continuing on in verse 2, and David arose and he passed over with the 600 men that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maoch, king of Gath. Now, when you look at Gath, let me see if I have a map pulled up still. What we got over here? Let me see what we got. When you look at Gath, no, I don't have it. When you look at Gath, though, it's a city located in the Philistines, or located in Philistia, if you will. It's one of the cities of the Philistines. Okay, it says he and his men, every man with his household, even David and his two wives, Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, the Carmelitess, Nabal's wife. So the Lord had already given David, two wives during this time that he was in the wilderness. Okay, basically fleeing for his life. And David had still a small band. Well, 600 ain't a small band, but yeah, he had a band of men with him. Okay, so you had that was the formation, the beginning of the formation of the house of David. So when we say house of David, not all of the individuals that were in the house, or excuse me, not all the individuals that belonged to the house of David were necessarily his sons, right? Some of them may have been individuals that were added on of a different tribe, you see, but they were basically known as one house, you see. And so it says, and it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again after him. So the plan worked. You see, again, our people constantly were giving up the coordinates. Um, and Saul was like, well, damn, if he went into the land of the Philistines, I mean, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna chill. You know what I'm saying? So it worked. I'm trying to see if this has a picture of Gath in it. Okay. Well, it's hella small though. Hold on. Let me see if I can actually pull it up on the screen. My sword has a picture of it. I'll tell you what. If you brothers can look it up, but Gath is located in the tribe allotment of Judah. The tribe allotment land area of Judah. It's located by it's kind of almost by itself, but kind of close to Ekron. So these are, again, areas or territories that were controlled by the Philistines at that time. Okay. And what's the name of this king here? Um Achish. Uh Achish was the king of Gath. Okay, so keep in mind this is a Philistine Hamite. Okay. Continuing on in verse 5, it says, and David said unto Achish, if I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the royal city with thee? So remember, all of these cities in the area, man, I said I wasn't going to pull up the maps, but I kind of want to I kind of want to pull up something to give you brothers. Okay, it's Spirit. Here we go. I want to pull up some of these areas over here. See if I can find Gath. You got Elon, Timnah. Okay, here we go. Gath is here in the bottom left. I'm gonna zoom in as much as I can. But if you brothers can see this area, this little where my mouse is, this little area, Gath was a city in itself. It was a walled city that belonged to again the Philistines, but you also had other little areas of land, plots of land, where basically this is where David dwelt. So David was like, look, I'm not gonna be here with my 600 men and all of our possessions in the city. Give us somewhere in the plains that we can dwell around the city, and that's what happened. And if you go to let me see if I can find it, the account with Jacob and Laban. Um, Pretty much Jacob, his house uh, was increased, through Laban's let me see here, through Laban's possessions. Okay, Genesis chapter 30, chapter 29 probably be a good one. I'm just kind of flowing here. All right. Okay. I'll probably start like around 25. Let's see here. Actually, I'm gonna start up. Let's see here. Yeah, I might just start at the top. Okay, this is Genesis chapter 23, and I'm gonna start. Damn, that's a good ass. This is like kind of hard to pick where to start at. Let me see here. Okay, you know what? I'll start here. Genesis chapter 29 and verse 13. It says, and it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob's sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. Okay, so again, Jacob pretty much met Laban and he started working with him, right? In verse 15, it says, and Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? What shall thy wages be? Okay, and this is the account where he said, where Jacob said, look, I want to I want to get with your daughter Rachel. But I wanted to actually go down where it talked about the increase of Jacob's house, because that's what it's going to go into in First Samuel. I'm kind of going, I didn't have it prepared, but I'm kind of going, off of memory.
It's all good.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm just trying to get, like, there's a part where it talks where they had an agreement. Basically, Laban said, okay, look, any of the sheep that you raise up that are spotted or basically any color other than white, then you can have them at the end of the 7 years. You
Right.
see, and pretty much this is essentially what happened with with David, man. Like to the point where David found favor in the king of Gath's sight. So you brothers, if you want to read up on this account, it's pretty much Genesis chapter 29, and probably even chapter 28 as well. I might have started a little bit too. Yeah, chapters 20, 29 pretty much is a majority of that. And then I believe chapter 30 goes into the sons of Jacob. Okay. Yeah. And then 31 continues on with the story of Jacob pretty much sneaking away from Laban, because Laban wanted Jacob to keep working for him, when you go into it. And so that's pretty much the same spirit that David had on him, man. Without really going and reading the whole chapter of Genesis. But I'm gonna continue on back in First Samuel. It says, let's see here, verse 6. It says, then Achish gave him Ziklag that day, wherefore Ziklag pertaineth unto the kings of Judah unto this day. Okay, so again, this is still in the territory when the kingdom was established in its fullness, under King Solomon. These are the territories that pretty much Judah, the land of Judah, the tribe of Judah inherited. Okay, and it says, and the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months. So you can imagine the level of productivity that they were pretty much bringing forth, right? It wasn't just David. Again, it was 600 men. So they probably had, cattle and was growing, growing different fruits and vegetables and things like that, right? Tilling the land. So it says, and David and his men went up and invaded the Geshurites and the Gezrites and the Amalekites, for those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land. So let's pause there. When you go back to the same map, okay, it talks about, or it shows you here on the left, the Amalekites. They were dwelling in that area. Okay, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Jebusites. See these different tribes and nations that were pretty much in the land of Canaan that never fully got pushed out. Okay. And basically what David started doing was being industrious and started pushing these different tribes out. Amalek, which is a tribe of Esau, got pushed out of that area that David was in. Okay. Even it says, as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt. And I'm gonna pretty much finish out this chapter here, and then we can get some precepts. Verse 9, it says, and David smote the land and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep and the oxen and the asses and the camels and the apparel, and returned and came to Achish. So as David's going out, in the field, you may have a band of, heathen that may try to come up, or he may go out, and shoot him and expand his little territory that the king of Achish, I'm sorry, that Achish, the king's name actually is Achish. He's the king of Gath. He, pretty much was expanding his territory, talking about David. And Achish was like, shit, David came to me and he's my servant. So Achish was letting him get down. You see, even
Now
though,
notice the pilgrim spirit that David is in. You know what I'm saying? He's on the run from Saul and he's going through that whole tribulation, but at the same time, life is still happening. Life is still going on. You see, and being that the Lord was pleased with David, he would put people in David's path to where David could capitalize off utilizing that wisdom, off utilizing that humility, off making those decisions and trusting in the Lord. You see, he's still in charge of a certain amount of men, and all these different things is going on. It said that he stayed in this particular location for a little bit over a year. You see, so having that in mind with us, yeah, we waiting on the kingdom to come. We fighting for this kingdom to be put down and our kingdom to be risen up, but we still got to go to work.
That's right.
You see, we both at work now.
Yep.
You see, so you can always take something from our past with
Yep.
our forefathers and bring it to today to where you can apply it to yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
see, so even though you may be going through tribulations and certain things, you still got things that you got that we responsible for. We still got to go out on the highways and the byways. We still got to make sure we put our lessons up. We still got to make sure we watching each other. You know what I'm saying? Rebuking and reproving each other and all those different things. Even though you might have another set of circumstances, but no matter what you're going through, whether it's daily life or in the spirit, you can always pull from the scriptures,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the
I'm gonna
difference.
get this.
That's the difference between David and Saul.
That's right. I'm gonna get this precept, Laquan. Ecclesiastes 9. Oh,
Come
make sure I share my screen real quick. Back you up. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10. Okay, it says, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest." So the energy that the Most High has given you, use it to actually do it in its fullness to the best of your ability. Don't go no like half-ass, like they say, when it comes to doing anything really. When it comes to even like going to work on a carnal level, we have the examples that we brought out, Jacob, David, they were going in the field, right? To the point where the Lord increased them bountifully. You see?
I want to say Jacob wrestled an angel until he got his blessing. Look
Mm.
at what all David went through to get his blessing. You know what I'm saying? To get to the kingdom. Look at what our Moses had to do. Look at what our Moses had to do to lead the people to gather the people, lead them out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? That whole thing. Look at Peter being the head of the church. Look at what all he had to go through.
Colin.
You
I'm gonna get
know,
this other one, and then we'll go back to that First Samuel. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6. It says, "But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully." Now, this is talking about in the spirit, okay, but the same principle applies to in the physical, of course, which is where the concept came from. So in the spirit, even more so. Okay, as long as we continuing to sow. When you're sowing, you're talking about planting a seed, right? If you're planting a seed sparingly, meaning very few seeds, if you only plant 3 seeds, you'll be lucky if one grows. But if you plant 30,000 seeds, you're gonna get at least several hundred of them bad boys grow up into whatever tree that you planted. So how much more in the spirit, man? You see, and that's the attitude that our forefathers had, and that's what we could learn from reading this account here. Okay, even in times of trial and tribulation. Okay. Oh, also reminds me kind of like Joseph, really. Like how his son, how his brothers sold him into slavery, and the Lord used Joseph to increase the house of Pharaoh
right?
exponentially, man.
Yep.
You see?
Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah. So this is a natural thing, like, that we should be getting into. We're superior. This is another example of how we're superior to these other nations.
Right.
Okay. Continuing on, 1 Samuel 27 and 10, it says, "And Achish said, Whither have ye made a road today? And David said, Against the south of Judah, and against the south of the Jeremielites, and against the south of the Kenites." So basically, he's saying that, look, uh, Achish was asking David, like, "Yo, hey David, where did you go out today? What'd you do today?" Right? And David said, I pushed out the other nations, right? I pushed out the the locals from these particular areas from our basically he was telling Achish that, like, I'm expanding my borders, you know. And it says, so how do you imagine how Achish felt? Like, damn, I got this guy on my side, yo, I'm gonna keep him around, right? in verse 11, and David saved neither man nor woman alive to bring tidings to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, so did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwelleth in the country of the Philistines. This is a little bit better read in the NLT. So I'm gonna read these last two verses so it makes a little bit more sense. I'll start at verse 10 again. Where did you make your road today? Achish would ask, and David will reply, against the south of Judah, the Jeremielites and the Kenites. Verse 11, no one was left alive to come to Gath and tell where he had really been. This happened again and again while he was living amongst the Philistines. So again, David was constantly getting snitched on. So he was like, yo, okay, if I'm going to be around some people, I'd rather be around some heathen that I could put to death versus my own people, right? Because again, we read in the beginning of the verse, even like, I guess, I mean, even when David went to the land of the Philistines, he was still getting spied on, and reports sent back of him to King Saul. So David was like, shit, you know what? I'm gonna just dust these heathen off. I'm gonna expand my borders, and now I ain't gonna leave nobody alive. That way, ain't nobody gonna be able to tell anybody where I've been. You see, because he kept getting pursued. And it says in verse 12, Achish believed David and thought to himself, by now the people of Israel must hate him bitterly. Now he will stay here and serve me forever. So you see that? These other nations, they love trying to put themselves in a position where they can capitalize off of our industrious nature. Same thing with Exodus, the beginning of Exodus, that they didn't want to let Israel go, because why? Talking about the Egyptians didn't want to let Israel go because we were keeping their economy afloat. We was making them rich. You see, working for them. So, that's how these other nations feel about us now. But this was kind of like a little pact that David had with Achish, right? So continuing on from that, chapter 28. And Zaquan, did you have any precepts before I continue on this chapter?
Oh no, you can keep going. You can keep going.
Cool. All right. Continuing on, 1 Samuel 28:1. It says, let me go back to KJV. All right. It says in verse 1, and it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. Because you got to remember, even though David and his tiny, band of 600 men was, over there in that area of Gath with Achish, that one king, there were multiple kings and multiple cities, right? When you read the Philistines, it wasn't just one city. You see, it was many cities along the western coast, of Israel that basically were constantly at war with, with Israel, right? So it says they gathered their armies together for warfare to fight against Israel. Because remember, this is when all the tribes were still together, So you had, and this map right here. This is just showing Judah. This isn't even showing Israel up north. And this website has so many maps. I don't want to take too much time looking for the perfect map, but you brothers get the picture. Like, if you can see here, what we got here, Philistines, right? The land of the Philistines. Okay. And then you had the city that David was in, right? Gath, or the city that he was living around. But you have all these other cities: Jabneel, Ashdod, Gilgal, Gath Ramon, Ashkelon, right? These are all cities that were inhabited by the Philistines. So it was very, very close proximity that we were around these other nations. So that's why it was constant wars going on. Okay. So it says in continuing in verse 1 in the middle, it says, and Achish said unto David, know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. So when the word was going out, we about to go ahead and, and go to war. Achish was like, yo, David, I know you're an Israelite and your men are Israelites, but just know you're gonna be in my army fighting against the Israelites, right? and people David was like, hey, and David said to Achish, surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do, meaning like, hey, you about to find out what I'm capable of, so David basically was saying like, hey, I'm down, and it says, and Achish said to David, therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever. So Achish was like, look, well, shit, since you down to go to war with me, even against your own people, I'm gonna make you like basically like second in command, right? Over all his possessions. Okay. So let me see. What's this precept here? Oh, okay. This is a precept to something else. Verse 3, it says, now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Okay, so even though Saul killed all the prophets of the Lord, he still, before he started bugging out, he was still like, basically doing what he was supposed to do up until, he disobeyed the Most High. And basically Samuel told him, hey, look, the Lord, he gonna take the crown from you. Up until that point, Saul was actually doing what he was supposed to do. If you brothers been watching the series, it went over his early days, his glory days. So they were still pretty much banished out of the land, talking about the wizards and warlocks and stuff. In verse 4, it says, and the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem, and Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. You can go on the map and find where this at. Just understand it's somewhere on the borders of the Philistines and Judah. Okay. Verse 5, it says, and when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And this ain't the first time Saul buckled under pressure. You see, Saul was at this point, the spirit had completely left him. The spirit of the Most High was gone from him. And so when he tried to inquire, well, I'm going to read the next verse. Verse 6, and when Saul inquired of the Most High, of Yahweh, Bashem Shai, the Lord Yahweh answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. You see? So, I mean, again, we got to take into account Saul had the entire city of priests get slain, right? He killed all the priests already. So, of course, the Lord wasn't going to answer him, right? And so he was bugging out. He was like, damn, what I'm going to do? Because, again, there was a large host. All of these nations, not nations, I'm sorry, all of these men in this city, in these cities and these surrounding cities, because it wasn't just like 2-3 cities, man. You had like different people, like, that was living in the field too, just like how David was.
Get what's that, Sirach 2, where it talk about woe unto you who lost patience.
Right. Okay.
Because that's what Saul did. You know what I'm saying? While he was constantly losing patience, it seemed like every time he lost patience, David would show patience. You know what I'm saying? To show that compare and contrast on believing in the Lord and obedience being better than sacrifice. You seeing the difference between the two men that later on became the difference in two houses. Just like you can say two manner of people with Jacob and Esau, you got two manner of Israelites with David and Saul.
That's right. Okay. You might. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna start up 2 verses. This is Sirach chapter 2, and verse 12. It says, "Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth 2 ways." That's pretty much Saul's definition right there. He started believing. He started, on a good start, and then went astray. Okay. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore, he shall not be defended.
You see that? Just like you going into with Saul trying to he had already blew it with Samuel. Samuel dead now. Like you said, at one point in time he was doing what he was supposed to do by getting rid of all the witches. But now he's so desperate, right? No faith. He's scary. So now he's looking for witches. He don't know what to do. So
Hmm.
when you don't have the spirit of the Lord on you, you don't know what to do. You see, that's
Man,
why you see in all these other groups do all these different things. You know, ever since what a few years ago, the spirit was on the apostle Elder Tahar to go into um man, well, I can't even remember the name of the year, but basically, yeah, it was the year Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai turning up, you
oh
know,
right.
and
Yep.
and ever since that year, all these other groups have done everything in their power to distance themselves from the umbrella of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Right.
You
That's right.
see, so
Hmm.
when Saul distanced himself from the umbrella of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, you see in his response. You see, go
Con.
ahead.
Yep. Here's the point in verse 14, Sirach chapter 2 and 14. Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will ye do when the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall visit you? So imagine, like, well, and we're about to read like the judgment that Saul got, okay, because he lost patience multiple times. You see, he lost patience when
Mhm.
he couldn't wait long enough for Samuel to come back, and basically he rushed a sacrifice. He forced sacrificed to the Most High, right, when he shouldn't have, and he spared the other the Amalekites. He spared the king Agag, the king, and took the fatlings and all the various different cattle when the Lord told him, kill them all, don't leave no animals left, no people left. You see, so he was faint hearted, and the Lord took that defense away from him. Okay, I actually had a precept as well. Um, this is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 25. It says, "Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh." Right. So Saul was imagining, damn, all my children, everything. If I lose this battle, these Philistines, man, they gonna take everything, man. They trying to get revenge from Goliath. They trying to take everything from me. So he basically had fear stricken in his heart, which is the opposite spirit that we supposed to be in. Take example, the Maccabean revolt, right? In First Maccabees. Judas Maccabees was encouraging his men who were vastly outnumbered at certain times, you know, to fight a valiant fight, and the Lord going to protect us. You see, so we have examples of how to conduct ourselves and how not to conduct ourselves when we read this history. Um, Going back to 1 Samuel 28 and verse 7, it says, then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit. Now this term familiar spirit, I'm actually jumping to the Hebrew real quick. It's talking about a witch. Okay, talking about a diviner. Familiar spirit. Okay, it's that word. This is that word familiar spirit. Strong's H 178. Awab. It says familiar necromancer.
Yeah.
Damn, a necromancer. Isn't that somebody that talks to dead people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I look it up, uh, yeah, a person who practice necromancy, a wizard or a magician, a sorceress, right? All of that stuff. Which you have those today, the palm readers. Those people are not going to exist in the kingdom. A psychic, somebody that talks to dead people, and people praise them. Oh my God, I can talk to my dead mother. Oh my God.
Yeah, that Ouija board life.
Yeah, you know, people. You got videos on YouTube. People saying, like basically you got the familiar spirit reader or necromancer in the room, and then they're like basically speaking as a medium to the dead person or whatever, supposedly, right? Which is off, right? One who invokes the dead, you know. So that practice is strictly prohibited in our culture, man. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's in the law. I'll get it real quick. Leviticus 19 and 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, because a lot of those times are just demons. You know, it could be a demon, it could be whatever. It's basically that person is speaking to. It says neither seek, and if you don't think that you can have a conversation with a demon, uh, you got to read the New Testament. You got to read the times when Legion, Yahushua had that conversation with the maniac Legion. Um, Also, what does it say? Uh, Yahushua I know and Paul I know, but who are ye? Those demons, they'll speak. You know, if you invoke them, they'll speak, and people use that basically to make money, right? So it says, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, your power. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Saul basically was tripping hardcore. He
Mm-hmm.
said to his servants, "Go find me one of these. Go find me one of these people." Right, the same people that he basically kicked out of the land. It says, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her." You see, because the Lord wasn't answering him. Excuse me. So he said, "You know what? Go search out a familiar spirit for me." And to fast forward, to show you how bad our people was tripping, man, I'm gonna go to Second Kings chapter 1 real quick. Okay, this is Second Kings, and I'm gonna just read these two verses here. Second Kings chapter 1 verse 2. It says, and Ahaziah, which he was the king of Israel at that time, fell down. This is fast forwarding in history. I'm just getting this precept. And Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers and said unto them, "Go inquire of Baalzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease." You see, so basically seeking wizards and warlocks, seeking after God, other gods for answers. This is hugely frowned upon. But our people, this is another account of our people basically going off and seeking and inquiring after other gods.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that Jake do when Jake be selling out. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Whether you selling out to be a celebrity, or if you selling out to build to fill your belly.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these other groups that's all about money instead of pushing Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So that's that's something that's gonna have to be dealt with.
That's right. God. Okay, so continuing on in that First Samuel.
Share your screen again.
Yeah, Khan. Continuing on in that, in verse 8, it says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna finish this verse in the verse 7. And his servant said to him, "Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor." It says, and Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment.
That's what I'm saying, man. Doing too much.
Man,
Doing too much. I would say
yeah.
Jacob disguised themselves and put on other raiment to blend into the world. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? Sacrificing the truth.
Yep. That was the worst part about it, is the fact that Saul knew better, man. He was anointed by Samuel, right?
Right.
And so and he put on other raiment, and he went, and two men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, "I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit." Right? So it's ironic how the Lord put Saul in a situation to where he was trying to seek after, look and see, okay, Lord, where can I find an answer from you? But he slayed all the priests. So he basically hanged himself with that.
Yeah, he took away his ability to repent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he was tripping. Like he was tripping hard, man. But
Yep.
like, but now you see the importance of Psalms 51. When
Mhm.
King David was like, you know what I'm saying? Don't. Please don't take your Holy Spirit from me. You see what it looked like without it.
Man. Oh, and David had the ephod too.
Right.
David had the ephod because was the one son he escaped and he brought the ephod with him.
Yep.
And there was only one. There was only one. That was what the high priest. He had the ephod, so he was out of there. It says, let me see. Talking about Saul. Saul, he didn't have no way to repent. Okay, so continuing on in verse 8, it says, I pray thee divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. Right? So it
I want
says
to say so.
in
You
the
would he wouldn't listen to Saul when Saul was alive, but
yeah.
now you're gonna have a witch to bring him up
Yes, talking
from the
about Samuel,
spirit.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep, exactly. That's exactly who he required to speak to. So we're going to continue on. It says in verse 9, and the woman said unto him, Saul, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. So the woman was like, yo, hey, dude, I don't know who you are, but um, you know, like Saul, he banned all the wizards and stuff. So I don't know what you're talking about. Basically, she was protecting her own behind. She was like, I don't know where you all found me. I don't know this and that, but I can't help you, right? And she said, wherefore then? So basically, they took a necromancer out of retirement
Man.
just to get cursed out, which we're about to see. It says, wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? She was like, what you trying to do? Get me killed, man? You already know Saul, he cut off all of that stuff, man, from this land. You see? And it says in verse 10, and Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Which he was even tripping for that, because you don't
He
like, you
lied.
know what I mean? Yeah. Like the scripture says, if sinners entice thee, that are you gonna go with them?
Yeah. And just because he ain't gonna do nothing, don't mean the Lord ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He basically, Saul was speaking for the Most High by basically saying, look, it's okay, you can go ahead and sin. You know what I'm saying? You can go ahead and just
Right.
do this for me. I promise. Everything, like, nah, that shit didn't hold no weight. And who knows how she got judged, whatever happened later on. But Saul basically like, you can see, just Saul, he just was tabbing on more and more debt to where he just sealed his fate, man. There was no turning back. It says in verse 11, then said the woman, whom shall I bring up to thee? Right. So she said, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Right. And he said, bring me up Samuel. So after she agreed to go ahead and do the thing, this is this, Samuel is the man that Saul requested, because Samuel was the man that basically the Lord was using to speak to Saul. And Samuel had died. So because remember, after Samuel cursed him out and said, look, the Lord has basically removed you from your house being king and having that throne. It said that Samuel saw uh Saul no more. So they didn't have a conversation after that day, right? It says in verse 12, and when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, right? She was like, oh shit. She's seen Samuel. She brought him up, Samuel, and she brought him up. The Lord allowed this to happen. Talking about the Heavenly Father allowed for this whole thing to happen, right? And it says, and the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. So she was, imagine she was all tripping out, like, yo, this dude, here it is. Saul said, no, nobody is supposed to be, practicing witchcraft, and then you telling me to practice it, So she was bugging out, probably, tripping out, like, yo, damn, you just trying to trap me up, right? And it says in verse 13, and the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? He just wanted to know what Samuel said, or what she saw. It says, and the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. Now let's pause that there, right? That word gods. Let's get that word real quick. get a quick edification on that. Okay. That word for gods, Alahayim, same word that's in Genesis 1:1. Okay, powers, judges, spirits, right? That's what that word Alahayim means. The reason why I brought that out is because this shows you that there's multiple, multiple spirits, and Lord willing, we're one of those original spirits that was there, during the foundation of the earth. We come in this category, okay? And so it says, so little g, lowercase g, gods, right? It says, and he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. So she was seeing the appearance, basically like she was seeing the vision of Samuel, in the spirit. Okay, it says, and Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. So here it is, Saul speaking to the woman, and the woman seeing the spirit, and she's like telling Saul what's going on here. Like, this is, I see Samuel, I see this man with a mantle. So Samuel's like, oh shit, this got to be Samuel, right? And Samuel said unto Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed. So basically, that shows you the spirit world, like there's spirits, basically at rest. When we pass on and we go to the spirit world, right? But that doesn't mean that our soul just gets destroyed or goes to hell to burn forever, right? Because the Lord can send that soul back into a body. He could have, the Lord could do whatever he wants. Remember when Yahushua got raised up, there were, I'm sorry, not when he got raised up, when he died, when he got crucified, there were bodies that came up out of the graves, right? There was an earthquake. There was bodies that basically got, that basically came back alive. Spirits went back into their bodies, right? So the Lord can do whatever he wants. He's the Father of spirits. Okay, but so he wanted Saul to know this message that Samuel was about to tell him. Okay, it says, and Saul answered, I am sore distressed. So he did all of this just to talk to Samuel, right? It says, for the Philistines make war against me, and the Most High is departed from me, and he answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Well, go figure, man. Of course he's not going to answer, of course the Lord wasn't going to answer Saul. So now Saul,
that's why in Ecclesiasticus it's talking about woe unto those who are fearful.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so the fear that you showed when you didn't trust in the Lord, now you seeing the fear of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
That's right. Therefore, I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. It says, then said Samuel, wherefore then doest thou ask of me, seeing that the Lord Yahweh is departed from thee, and has become thine enemy? See, man, people think that this stuff is sweet. Like, you can't just do what you want. This is a perfect example. You can't just do what you want in life and then just try to just turn and seek the Lord after you do some crazy, like what Saul did. He was tripping hard. But the Lord, the Heavenly Father, put that spirit. It said an evil spirit from the Most High came upon Saul. So the Lord sent that spirit basically to jack Saul up after it was proven that Saul was he wasn't worthy, right, to be ruler and king over Israel. It says, wherefore doest thou ask of me, seeing that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is departed from thee and is become thine enemy, and the Lord Yahweh hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord Yahweh hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. You see? And the thing is, Samuel told Saul this before before Saul even met David. You see? And he just repeated what he told Saul last time that he saw him, which is, look, the Lord's done, like, he ain't dealing with you, man. And that's a fearful thing. Oh, we get that scripture. Hebrews, what was that, chapter 10? Fearful thing.
31.
Okay, I'm just go straight to it. Yeah. Hebrews 10, 31, man. Because this is what we do not want to fall. This is a category we don't want to fall into.
So you see how you see. I said, look at the fear on Saul. Look at the fear on Saul, and then read that.
He was shook. It says, verse Hebrews 10 and 30. For we know him that hath said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, said the Lord Yahweh. And again, the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai shall judge his people. So, David could have off Saul by now. Saul really was a dead man walking at this point. The Lord could have had whatever happened to Saul in between, when he went off and up until this point that we're reading. But the Lord, he's long suffering, he's patient, right? And now we're reading about Saul's demise, thousands of years later. Okay, it says it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. So we got to, continue to keep that in the forefront of our mind. That's the fear of the Lord, like it says, is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge, because we don't want to fall into his hands and get judged and jacked up any way that he sees fit. Okay, so continuing on in verse 18, it says, because thou...
just think about that. The Lord is long suffering, and we understand that according to the scriptures, his time is different from our time, right? Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, from the creation up until now, it's about 13,000 some odd years, give or take. So for the Lord to be long suffering, and from the creation up to now, that's almost 2 weeks.
Man, yep. Yep. That ain't nothing.
That's almost so in 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks' time, it's gonna be a flood and a thermonuclear war.
Yep.
Within 2 weeks.
Man. Yep. That's a vacation.
Yeah, but the Lord is long suffering. So yeah, that spirit just hit me right there. Yeah, in about 2 weeks. I was in 2 weeks of creation, about 5,000 to 6,000 times, 5,000, 6,000 years with people, documented people. Within that amount of time, 2 destructions.
Man, the Lord ain't playing, man.
I'm telling you, bro. For Yahweh should be how shy, man. God, in 2 weeks, we done fucked up enough twice to get destroyed twice.
Man. Hey, Abaratazah, we get saved out of that second go around, man.
Oh, but the reason why I say that is because you see the difference in the house of Saul versus the house of David.
Right.
And the house of Saul and the house of David are still on the planet right now. Mm-hmm. So when we read these accounts and we read this history, you have to be able to pull something from it to where you can add it to your walk. You know what I'm saying? You got it.
Quick precept, Nahum 1 and 3. The Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord Yahweh hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. So the first part of the verse, it mentions how the Lord's patient from our perspective, right? But he's very powerful, and he's not going to forget the things that the wicked have committed, those deeds. That's what it means to acquit, basically, like what does it say? To be acquitted from or freed from a criminal charged by a verdict, to absolve, to exonerate, to discharge.
Free like OJ all day.
Yeah. Like he's not going to exonerate a wicked individual that doesn't, give two too. He don't care about the Most High. He don't care about Yahweh Shai. He don't care about his own people, his own self. The Lord ain't dealing with an individual like that, right? But they made that individual may be able to, move around and wiggle around on the earth for an extended period of time from our perspective. But when the Lord gets them, he gonna get them, man. You see?
Right. It's just like Cain. It's just like Cain. He said, I'm gonna get Cain. If anybody avenged themselves on Cain, you're gonna have to pay me sevenfold, right? And that's what I'm saying. How did Cain and his descendants get wiped out? By the flood. Right? Same thing with Esau. Same thing with Esau. How is Esau gonna be wiped out? By that fire.
Yeah.
So when the Lord say, don't worry about Cain, I got him. Don't worry about Esau, I got him. That's what I'm saying. Cain and his whole line got judged. Came back through Esau to finish out his lot. And that's what I'm saying. I'll say Cain went out by water, Esau gonna go out by fire, and then we can get forever cracking.
Man, that's right. Okay, continuing on in this 1 Samuel 28. Let me see here. Verse 18, it says, because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, Yahweh, nor executed his fierce anger, his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath the Lord Yahweh done this thing unto thee this day. You see? So you're not going to be able to cheat the Most High out of his reward. If he want to use you as an individual or as a group, a band of army of men to destroy an individual or a group of individuals, that's what he's going to do. So you at that point become a tool of the Most High. Okay. And if you rebel against that command and that order, then that's going to be your ass. You see, which we're seeing play out to Saul. Okay. It says, verse 19, moreover, the Lord Yahweh will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. And the Lord Yahweh shall also deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines.
That's what I'm saying. So as scared as he was doing all those things because of fear, right? Oh. So when he did finally get his answer, he did all that, put in all that energy to see what his fate was. And Samuel pretty much told him, well, nigga, you gonna die.
Right.
You and your son gonna die. And that's what he was worried about the most. He was so scared of dying at the hand of the Philistines that the Lord went ahead and took him out. Now, he didn't die at the hand of the Philistines, but the fear of the Philistines is what got him, because he killed himself. And I'll say, so that fear that it's talking about, I would say, woe unto them that fear, that lose patience. This is the type of fear that can come upon you. That's why we're reading about Saul. Because that kind of carnal fear can lead to that type of spiritual fear. Which one you think was worse on it? You got it.
Yep. I'm looking for that scripture that says, he that seeketh to save his life shall lose it. He that loseth his life for my name's sake shall find it. I quoted it, but brother can put it on the comment board. Continue on here in 1 Samuel 28 and verse 20. It says, then Saul fell straightway all along the earth and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. Saul, man, he was making a lot of rookie mistakes. He called for any man that eats anything that day, basically to be cursed. When they were pushing back the Philistines that one day, the Lord remembers all this stuff, man. So you got Saul sprawled out all over the ground, bugging out because, of the obvious, the Lord wasn't dealing with him. And now he got told, look, hey, tomorrow you and your sons and everything that you care about is going to get eradicated the next day. If you knew for a fact you was going to die the next day, you ain't going to have a good feeling in your stomach, man. You see?
Right. That's Matthew 10 and 39, what you was looking for.
Okay, the water. Yeah, I mean, I quoted it, so we'll just leave it at that.
I'll post it on the comment board.
Yeah, the water. I'm gonna continue on this. 1 Samuel 28 and in verse 21. And the woman came unto Saul and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice. So the familiar spirit lady, she had compassion on Saul. She was like, man, damn, man, I'm sorry to hear that you're gonna die tomorrow, man. I did what you told me. Have something to eat. Get this last meal in you, baby. Right? Uh, the middle of verse 21. And I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me seat a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. So the lady was like, look, hey man, I can't have you, sobbing and crying and lamenting. I put my life in my hand by listening to, your word. Now please just just listen to what I'm saying. Just take this meal, which shows you, even though the woman was wicked, she still kind of had, a little bit of compassion and, on Saul, and basically that subservient spirit was still in the earth, even though she was wicked. Okay, for doing the familiar spirit thing. Okay, but it says, verse 23, but he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him. So the two men that he was with, they were like, no, king, you got to eat. You got to eat. They still viewed him as the king, even after all of that. So Saul had loyal, he had the people on his side. Okay. But the Lord wasn't on his side. So none of that mattered. It says, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. So, the Lord basically allowed for Saul to have that last little meal, that when you got the death sentence, they gave you that last whatever, if you want some, cotton candy or some Lucky Charms for your last meal, you know what I mean? That last meal. So
Man,
he had that nice filling meal, right? With knowing that he's gonna get put to death, him and his family, the next day for being a demon. You see? So if that's not the bread of sorrows, man, I don't know what is. But that's the
I'll
end of
tell
the
you.
verse. That's the end of the verse. Let me see if we got any comments on the comment board. Okay, pretty much we just okay, yeah, the brother put it there, Luke 11:33. Was to live. Yeah, so it's not really too super deep, but it is some good points, and of course great history, and we pretty much know what's going to happen in the next couple chapters. So we already been going for an hour. Zaquan, did you have any other points or precepts?
No, sir.
Okay. Hey, well, Abaratazar, this is an edifying lesson. With that, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachak. Double honors to the apostle and those a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.